Today's daf is daf Kuf Ches. Begin from the mission of Kuzayin and Beis in the bottom. So, till now we learned about individuals who forfeited their chelik in Olam Haba, the share of the world to come, and now we are going to discuss generations or an entire community that lost their share. It says the mission at the bottom of the page Kuzayin on Beis. Mabel, the generation of the Mabel, Ein Lem Chelik Olam Haba, have no share in the world to come. Interesting, they're all goyim. We already learned before that one opinion said that goyim also have share Olam Haba. And they're saying here, but that generation, which means that the mission again follows the view that there are, like, just like that Bilam. Bilam has no shir no haba, but other guys do. Same thing here. They nor there'll be a big judgment day again at that time, but they won't be punished a second time. Remember, it says that I will not judge ruchi my spirit, nor ruach. We interpret as if there's two separate ideas. Don't have Flogger, the generation that wants to build the Tower of Babel, but they also don't have a shish. And it says a positive. Hashem spread them mishram from there out pnei kol haaretz over the entire world. So ayafes Hashem also means in this world they were punished, and mishram hefitzam Hashem, and then he scattered them again. You already said ayafes. Why repeat it? Olam haba as well. Anshes daim, the people of daim, einlam chelam haba have no share in the world to come. So it says, but anshes daim roim. We're evil and sinners. Bad in this world and sinners in the world to come. However, they will be judged again. They were so ruthless, they'll be judged the second time when Olam Haba. No, neither of them. Not only I agree with you that the Anshe Floga won't be judged again, but I also say Anshe will not be judged again. It says they will not. The Rishonim will not stand up for judgment. Therefore, the Derd Hamabel will not be judged again, which we agree. And the Chatoyim, so I agree with you. There are Mabel, Floga, but not Anshes as well will not be judged. They said to him, no, that's not Pshat Pasuk. They will not stand Badas Tzadikim. I will aim them Badas Rishon, but they will be joined the Adas Rishoyim and will be judged again. Meraglim in the middle of the Mishnah and Daf Kufches. The Meraglim here now we're moving on to Yidden. Eilam Chegam Haba the Meraglim also have no share in the world to come. It says that the people will die. Might see it those who spread the slander on the land. In a bad way, Magefa Lifnei Hashem. In a plague. So we darshan. Every time it says a double thing, it means that they have no Olam Haza, nor do they have Olam Haba. Vayam Musa, they died by Olam Haza. There's a plague, Olam Haba. Doid Hamidbar, the Doid Hamidbar, Elam Olam Haba also have forfeited their share Olam Haba. But Ein bin bedin, but they will not be. They'll be spared. They won't be judged against. Remember, it says, Midbar Hazeh in this Midbar. So this midbar Yitamu, they will all pass away, and then they will die. So we see double speak because one's Olam Haza, Olam Haba. No, regarding them it says, "Easefully gather to me, Chasidai, Korse Brisi Alizeva." They all made a bond with me by the carbon, by the. We had the end of Pashas Bishpotim there by Matan Teda. They shechted and he sprinkled the blood on them. No, these are Korse Brisi. They're not going to and they will be gathered again. So they will have a chelik in Olam Haba. Adas Kodesh is in Lava. It's Adas Kodesh. Once they perish, they will never stand up again. Never it says, but Chasalema Odes Boilam Hazard, the land, they were covered, the land covered over them. In this world, but Yev Alcohol, and they would disappear for coal. Isn't that obvious? The second thing is, well, Boilam Hab, the also won't join them, have even keep it. Now, Lezer says, Aleim Hu Aimer, and then it says, Hashem Meimis Umechayer. This is referring to Hashem puts to death, but he'll give them life again. Moeded Shoel, the Yao. But Yoeded Shoel is referring to Kodesh and Dosai. And then, but nevertheless, they'll come back again by Tchizabek. Now we'll go through each of these periods and we'll explain a little bit more what it's all about. And we learn. It says, that's twice. By Olam Haza, one is this world, one is the world to come. You're right, they will not come back with chizamation, but they will not be punished the second time. It says, It said Layodon and Ruchi. So the ruach will come back, but no layod, and I was not going to judge him the yom hadin. And the Shri used to say we should be scared of the yom hadin when Mashiach will come. But loylam loy din v'loy ruach. Neither of them. The another pshat is loyod ruchi shloy tehei nishmos and chayzedes rather than the neshama will not go back to their cover, to their sheath like a knife. In other words, they won't come back to tchias mason. Nothing to do with being judged or not. I'm not going to Yisiyim, and I feel b'shay good work. I'm going to Mason. Even David should bring the shama back. Then he's going to Mason. The shmos and koshlim again. All it does is it makes the punishment worse for their goof. They resurrect the goof and they get punished again. So it's worse for them. It says Taharu Choshash, they conceived or they became pregnant and told their kash and then they came out of straw, born from straw. Ruchachem Eish, the neshama is going to make your fire consume them. The neshama gives the koyach to the goof to be able to get punished again. You know why the Rambam felt so arrogant, so hoody, so conceited, and because life was too good. When life is too good, everybody disregards all the rules and laws. Because what does it say regarding them? It says, I'm going to use Psukim and Eve to say that he was referring to the Derd HaMabul. It says, Batayim Shalom, that their houses were peaceful, the Pachad, there was no fear, they had no fear of Hashem, the stick of Hashem was not above them. Uksiv, and it says, Shoida, Ibeid, Yigal, Tiflu, Paras, Teshakal, their animals gave birth or fell pregnant, they didn't lose any of their calves, and the cow did not lose its calf. Uksiv, and it says, another person knows everything was going well for them. They sent out their kids just like sheep. The kids were dancing in the streets all the time. They were all very happy. It says that they were going around with the cymbals and the harps, and they were listening to the flutes. Life was good, all was good. When it says that the days spent well and they were sleep sweet. When it says, why is Eve talking about their mouth? Anyway, but it says when it says but in a second they will all get cut down and they will all find themselves in the Sheol. And it says in the 1 second they can all descend into the Sheol Tachtis. This is what caused David to say. It says in the pasuk that they said today, we don't need the Eibishter. We don't need the Eibishter's ways. What is the Eibishter kinavenu? You want us to serve the Eibishter? What does he do for us? What does he help us that we have to daven to him? They said, what do we need the Eibishter for? All we need is a little bit of rain. Yes, we have plenty of water, rivers and springs. That we can sustain ourselves from. You're using all the back he gave you, and then you're using that against me. That's how. In fact, I'll judge you with that, with the very water. It says, maybe I'll bring a marble of water. You're so complacent, and you say that you don't need any my help because you have plenty of water around you. You'll see. I'll give you plenty of water. That the reason why they were so haughty is because of the galgalayim, because of the eye. The eye is wet and moist and everything else, and they looked at everything and they were just so satisfied they never turned to the Eibishter. And worse, whatever the eyes saw, they wanted. They did, and they took. They wanted someone else's wife. They took. They took women from wherever they wanted. Doesn't matter if she's married. Not married, didn't care. That's what they should judge him with water. It's also Moishe and it said that he split open all this Mayana springs up to Haim Rabbah, but and the windows of the heaven were opened up. And actually said that springs are like eyes because they start up narrow. Says the Gemara. They sinned in a very big way, and therefore they should punish them in a very big way, a grand way. But bad, and they were bad. All the springs open up. There were three little. There was three pools of water that is left over from Mabul. So we get an idea of what it means. It was the Mabul was the hot waters, and they are Belua the Goda, a place called Belua from Goda, and Bechame Tveria, and the Angel Rabosi the Beidim, and the spring from Beidim. They all were corrupt. They mixed behemoths and chayas, and and then all of them had the bestiality was rampant. Everything reverted back to normal. That animals started to stick to their own species, from a certain bird called Tushalmi. Not sure what word that is, but this bird has no issues with mating with any other species at all. I think kids come up with I can't take them. I have come to the end. Will come. I'm going to be a boy. They come. Gadol koichel Hamas. Look how terrible it is. The Hamas, the terrible. See, the first word right here. That robbery and plunder is the worst of them all. Shahadei, they're the mabul of the third. They did avoiders, they did every possible way. They get next to them, did them after Poshiday Begezel. But when they started hurting other people, that's when they got punished. And it says, Kimola Oretz Chamas with name. They were corrupting land of Siva. Chamas come the matter that the Chamas itself, as if to say, the malach of robbery stood up like a stick. I don't want to have anything to do with them, but their money and their people, and so the person and didn't rest for them. But it says also the word noyach. So we dash and raf on noyach nechsim gadin. Also noyach was included according to this. Remember, we have machlekes noyach was a tzaddik ganzen or just relative. Remember, that noyach also I don't want him. Then they he found favor in his Hashem. It says nechamti. I sort of I guess regretted myself or consoled but I created all these people. I regretted it. Found this and then braces favor in the eyes of Hashem. Yinochem Hashem ki asas Adam ba'aret they regretted making creating mankind. It's a good thing that I created kvarim in the ground, that everyone can be buried in the ground. My mashma, how do you see that? They should regret it. It says Vayinochem oisam vayidaber al libam. And it says over there, Vayinochem oisam vayidaber al libam. And what's the and I guess it's what's talking about over there, Vayinochem oisam vayidaber al libam. And again, it says
yesterday was Menachem brother, so I confidence.
He said, "I'll take care of them." Okay. Okay. I did not do what she was kind of keeping about it. That he regretted on the bad that he said he'll do to his people. So regretted means that it's not a good thing what I just did. So it's not a good thing I make kibbutz about it. Why? Because maybe they will do tshuva eventually. This way, I decimated everybody, and I made sure. And maybe I did the wrong thing, because maybe, as Rashi says, they could have done tshuva. It says each tzaddik haye b'doreisa. What's the emphasis of doreisa? It says only relative to his generation was he a tzaddik, not compared to others. Surely in other generations. Yeah. Rashi brings over there that yes, some people darshan l'shavach and some people yes darshan l'gnai. Doesn't mean name Yichlish. It just says yes. So they say the Welt says that there's no person that's perfect. Rava says we're having when Rava said that I thought I was a great rabbi because everybody in Mechuzah loved me. But when I heard what Abaye said, if a Rav, everybody likes him, he's not doing his job because he has to tell some people off and they will definitely get baladik upset, means he's not doing a job. And that's what Rashi says. That Neich was Ish Tzaddik. Those say he's unbelievable. Because there was some people who went around saying Neich a terrible person, then we know he's Taka Tzaddik. Because everybody was a Tzaddik. Okay. Who said that's only relative is compared to in a warehouse of of the vinegar. The mekoima reidach noya. So when you waft, the fragrance, it wafts its way through only in the immediate area. Otherwise, it gets drowned out by the of the shalom. But if you take it as compared to the vinegar, wine, this wine which is not premium quality, is smells all right. But if you take it out of there in the stam, it's nothing special. The Shlokter says that it's very special. It's likened to this kind of spice or incense that you have a little jug dish. It was lying in a place which is full of dirt. The Mekaima Reichanoidiv, and even so, even though it has a terrible stench there, nevertheless it has this good fragrance. Kosh came a Makam Habais in a place where there's other spice and things that smell well. This will really smell well. That's machlek. Wherever the animals killed, a person made a chuppah for his son. Prepared the whole meal. Yummy. Comes a few days later. His son died. He gave away all his food. Dispersed all his food. I'm a cool, distributed all his food. I'm a cool, the whole wedding was prepared for my son. What's his wedding for? I'm a cool, but I create everything for mankind. What do I need it for? And then the question is how the next piece of going to fit in. Because everything on dry land died. But the fish in the water did not die. We'll have this machlek. He just said, gave a mushal that everything in the world was created for mankind, including fish. So why fish did not die? Now the previous Gemara where he said that they did that the animals were involved with the Aveda, he was Marbia, so fish wasn't shaykh. So then it makes sense. But if you follow the previous Gemara just a line ago, so it doesn't follow. That kalhu al pnei mayim, that it's light above the water, floats above water. The kulul chalkasam ba'aris should be cursed at their share in the land. Noach actually reprimanded them. This is interesting. So Noach himself also tried to reprimand the people. He said, "Also tshuva, do tshuva. Im la because baruch me'olim ab deishlim mafus. U'mekapet devlas kalamayim kizikin, and you will be floating on the water like your little jugs." You'll be corpses. Remember, it says, you'll be light on the water. And that people will use you as an example. Whenever you want to curse somebody out, they'll use you as an example. They were making roads through the vineyards. They said, so why didn't that marble happen already? What you're saying? I have one bird of mine that I'm waiting for him to leave this world before I punish the rest of the world. So then we don't have to then go anymore, avoid the vineyards. We'll just continue walking through them because supposedly everything gets destroyed. Or it means basically we're not going to try to fix anything up. We're going to continue along our merry way. The Pasuk, Lapid booze, the fire, they insulted La'ashte Shana for those dreamers, Noch and the Maya, the regular prepared for those who walk a step or trample. Again, it's another Gemara. Noach reprimanded them. And he said to them, he said really tough words. They insulted him. What's this shit for? What kind of mabul? What are you threatening us with? If you can destroy, mabul is destroyed. If you can destroy the world fire, we have something called an alisa shma. It's called alisa, and it protects us like fire retardant. It will protect us from the fire. Like I learned a long time ago, the salamander, that thing that for 7 years, then the blood. So maybe something like that. It doesn't say what it is. If we use water, maybe let's see where's it coming from. In order to maybe these metal plates, so the will cover the ground and the water won't come out. Maybe it'll be hurricanes and storms. We have this thing called akuv, and somehow or another, no idea what it is going to prevent the rain from coming down. He said to them, "Who made him mebein ikveragleichen?" But what guy can pull you? He can make the water come out of Rashi either from your semen that comes out of you is going to make a marble and you'll drown in it, or he can make water come out of your toes. So now it says, "Noch that you can prepare for those who walk on their feet."
I don't understand because as soon as we always say one of the differences between Avram Avinu and Noach, because Avram
Rashi
worked with
Chumash.
people.
Rashi Chumash. Noach is Halach.
It was just fine. He was saying he tried to get it information.
So what's Hakib Shah? I'm seeing more in a minute now. For 120 years, he was building a ship. How is it possible? For 120 years, he was building a teva. People, he was talking to people for 100 years, and he wasn't able to mashpia on one person, not on one. What's Pshat? And why is Avram so much? But Avram was able to, sort of was able to make people. So Pshat, I guess, if you look in the Torah, this is just nefeshly. If you look in the Torah, Avram was Sarah, and they were Megaya people. It says also Sanefesh. Mashenkin here, in other words, Avram and Sarah saw each person, and the neshama we can work with, and they spoke to the neshama, and that's how they got the person. Noach did not see any nefesh; he just saw people, and he spoke kosher kelapidim. Keep telling me, pleasure.
Avram and Sarah spoke to the roof. Noach tells them, Avram sits there and gives them a meal.
So where do you get?
And he said he gave him a good, fashbais and
maybe okay. Listen, Shivim Pon L'Teda, Shivim Pon L'Teda. You know that the Kaput is coming, and everything is a seder. So Pasha is because everything is in order. Now, 4 ways to learn Torah, Pshat and Jerusalem. Now, everything we ain't a mikriation of Pshat. We had the Gemara Givam is a Chavdalit. Kol Torah Kula a mikriation of Pshat. Chutz for one pasuk. A mikriation of Pshat by Yivam. So the word Seder is called Seder to tell you Pshat and the Haggadah for sure you're going to do. But you also have to do Remez and Rosh Hashanah. And the word Seder is Samach is Seder and Dalad is Rosh and Reish is Remez. The Haggadah makes sure that you cover all 4 strata and give every kind of pshat that you can think of on the Haggadah, all different madregas. Anyway, Tanya, we learned the waters of the Mabul Koshim is tough. Kishichva zera, it's hot and it's thick. Remember, it says Nochlama Dirego. No, it was not stam water; it was thick water as well. Besides being hot, as we'll see. Amar Rav Chiz Beroischin Kupel Baveda. They didn't have the Beroischin, right? Arroyos of Beroischin that no punish. Ksiv says if Shokamayim, the water settled. Ksiv Osam Hamas Hamela Shachach, and anger of Achashverosh calm down. And anger is like is boiling, and then it calm down. Ahili Shivas Hayom. They waited 7 days. And then the Mabul came down. What's the 7 days? What are these 7 days? What's the idea of 7 days? Why the delay? Amarav Eli Me'avelus Shalach. This is the days of Avelus and Shalach. The Lamnach to teach you she has Spaden Shal Tzadikim Ma'akvinus Aparonas lovely. That the Hesper of a Tzadik prevented the Peronius from coming to this world. Not only did they wait themselves to pass away, but they also waited that the covered for the Tzadik should happen. So we should learn from here the idea of Shiva. The Machlek, we know that Shiva is only one day, Mahatera, night, one day. But we should learn that the idea of Shiva already started back then. It delayed the Mabul by 7 days because of Shiva. The world that was created in 7 days changed around. Interesting, we say it was created in 7 days because it was 6 days. So that's considered part of creation. But he changed the order. What do you mean change the order? It means that normally we say that the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. Here was the reverse. In fact, we say that the mazalas weren't even functioning during that year. And you read all these scientists, they talk about why things in the world don't work out the way it is, and they take things back. They say that for a whole year, entire year, there was no sun, there was nothing. None of the mazalas were working. None of the planets, stars, and everything else weren't working. So who knows what effect it had on this world. First he gave him 120 years, and then he said, maybe now finally they'll do tshuva. He gave another short time of 7 days, a full week. We learned he wanted them to realize what they missed out. So he gave them he wanted them to come for 7 days. They should appreciate a little bit what they're about to lose. We call them from all the behemoth takes 7 and 7. And a man and his wife. Ishus behemoth easily. What do you mean? A man and his wife. You have one male, impregnating 7 cows. So what do you mean a man and his wife? It means from those that were not that did not do an Aveda, they did no bestiality, nor did they even cross over to, according to Rashi, not only no bestiality, they didn't cross over to another species of animals. But no, how do you know? How would Noach know which animals are pure or not? He put them for the table. Cold, shot table, cold tossai, and he wanted the table open his doors. You know, you didn't do an Aveda. The animal didn't know Aveda. The animals came on their own. And which animals came on their own, those are all right. I say look at David Atze Geifer, make Atze Geifer, my Geifer, what exactly is Geifer? These are cedar trees. And they use that wood for to make the table. So you had Tasla table, you should make it a window, but cover he says that the Tsoya was not a real window. What was it? It was precious stones that illuminate in the darkness. Should light up. Well, what stones light up in the darkness? Well, and others say it was a window. And really, the machlekes is if you have a window, you see the outside world. If you have no window and you only have Evan Toiv, you see nothing in the outside world. And the question did Noach have the right to see how people were dying? So if you learn Noach Tzaddik was mamish be'etzem tzaddik, then he had every right. But if it wasn't be'etzem tzaddik, then he didn't have the right to see how others are suffering. So that's why there was no window. It was just Evan Toiv. That's basically the machlekes. L'choida totally is like you said. Again, this is all a maybe. Yeah, the ship comes to a point. That's how a ship works. Tartim, there were three stories. Tartim, the downstairs was for all the wastes. The middle one was for an animal, and the top one was for people. I usually said that the raven, the raven, we say in other places has chutzpah, came to Moshe with a taina. And a valid time. Rabach so nani bad son David hates me, you hate me. Rabach so David hates me, man hat in Shiva, man hat meim, Schnayim. Is that fair? All the 30 animals you have 7, which they figured out then because of Kabbalah, and the Talmud get 2. We're already out, numbered. Then you hate me, Shiva. Instead of selecting one of the like the dove first, they have 7, so that if one of them doesn't come back and die, you still have plenty left, so the species doesn't die, it doesn't become extinct. You're sending we're only 2, and if I don't come back, that's it. That's the end of the species of ravens. Let's say it's very, very hot. Well, the sar of tzino is very, very cold. An entire species will become extinct. I know you're scheming here. You want my wife. Now, these are the good ones. Remember, although the only ones that came in the ship are the ones who didn't have these kind of activities. I'm like Russia. He called the raven Russia. The mutali nesali from the Russia because raven is an achzer. So he called him. It's very mean. Doesn't even feed its own kids. Russia. The mutali nesali. My wife. I can't have any shaykhs to. The nesali lakoshkein. The bird lakoshkein surely. So you want to know that. So I know you don't have tashmish on the ship for a whole year. The Chesiv says, "Well, boss teva to you." Then it says "Benecha your children," and then it says "V'yishtecha your wife." No, but you're not together. When it says "Benecha Yitach" and the wives of the children with them, so you split the wives from the males. Or Chesiv, and it says same as when you got out of the ship, he says "Ata v'yishtecha." There you put the wife and Ata together. No, you'll be together again. Well, Rabbi Yechon, my Yechon, he learned that's what Tashmita. He learned that there were also Tashmita. Some relationships with Teva, there were 3 people that even though despite the fact there were 3 living things that had Tashmish on the table and they shouldn't have. The Kum Loka, they all got punished. Caleb, the dog, the Eirev and the raven, and the Chum, and Chum Noach's son. Caleb Niksha. Keller, when he mates with his partner, he's like attached; he can't get out. Oirev, when it comes to the raven, the rake spits. So how do they cross? Not the conventional way. How does he pass the semen mouth to mouth? He's through spit, saliva. And Cham Loka ba'oirev, Cham's son became colored. Then he sent the dove Lidos Hakilamayim to see whether the water is settled. I'm going to be a mekan shedi rosen shel oifas to hidim. It says that the Yaina was right. Meita was the next to Noach. You see that what? That the dira of Eifas Tehidim are with Tzadikim. Because by an oilev, it doesn't say the word me'itai from him. Right? He had a leaf that came in his mouth. I'd rather have that I have no panosa and it's bitter like an olive. Yehem is a nice I want my mezainis should be even as bitter as an olive. But I'm getting directly from you. Rather than getting all this money and sweet like honey, but I'm beholden to different people. My mashma the high Torah is I know Torah means says Allah Zayis, they had a leaf of a Zayis, Torah beer. You're saying Torah means panosa. I know, but you see that Torah means sustenance. Here it says Hatzifeni lechem chukai, and it says you should feed me lechem chukai. So we see over here that it's talking about panosa. It says in Gemara, Mishpachayim, Yotzim. It says in the Kingdom of the table. It says like Mishpachasam. It says on Mishpachayim. And we're going to dash this says Mishpachais and Haim, meaning what? That what each one of the family didn't join others. Every family stayed as a family, remained as a family. That he said Eliezer said to Shem, the great Shem, Noach's son, Eliezer is Avram's Eved, and he said to Shem, see, it says Yatsu Minateva. So tell me, so where were you? Each one was separate. Each family of animals kept to themselves. So how did you deal with all these animals while you were on the ship? So he said, it wasn't easy. It was difficult. Those who wanted to eat during the day, we fed by day. Kisa, this particular Rashi says it's a shame barrier, doesn't know what it is. We don't know what its food is, what its diet is. One day, Noach was sitting there and eating a pomegranate, and a worm fell out. And right away that Zika ate it. From then on in, he decided to create worms. So he went ahead and he kneaded over there whatever, some kind of oats, kimitla, and it got wormy. He ate it. Arya, the lion, Ishta, Zinse, the lion, became sick. And when a lion is sick, feverish, it doesn't trample on others. That Zina Ishta. In other words, when someone is sick, they can live 6 days without food, or even up to 12 days without food. Avashina, this bird called Avashina. A father Noah found the Goni Besafne was lying there in a little box on the ship. How come you're not asking for food? You don't need food. I saw how busy you are with everybody else. I said, I'll suffer, but I don't want you to be Messiah on my account. Wow. I give a bracha that you should not die. Rashi says that the Einu Meslo Olam, it lives forever. No idea what species that is. Remember, it says in the pasuk, it says Am Kane Egla the Kachol Arba Yam Arki Yam. The Kachol, which Rashi says that's the same bird of Ashina, will live Arba a long time. Rashi says Lo Olam, not just a long time, a long life. Shame. Rabbi Shame said, interesting, called Shame Rabbi. Shame, the great, or the oldest, the greatest of Noach's children, said to Eliezer, Ki asu alaychum. That means Shame lived a very long life. This is 10 generations later, or 9 generations later. And so Shame to Eliezer, Ki asu alaychum malkim mizuchamaydev. Yeah, but the yeshiva was called after him. Doesn't mean that he's still alive. When he came, maybe Abel was alive. When he came, tell me, when you had that war with the king, tell me, you also like a Malkin Mizuchamayr. How did you deal with him? With those terrible kings. Isaac took Abraham, put him on the right side. Beautiful Gemara, he threw the sand at these kings, and he destroyed them. They turned into knives, swords, and they killed them. Gili picked up straw, but the Gili became arrows. It says, Mizmo Ladovi, no Hashem, Adoni, Shevli Mini, you sit down, shave my right side, Ad Oshis, Avecha, Hadem Avecha, until I trample, I take all your enemies, and I put them under your feet. See if it says, Miheyir Mizrach, who arose from Mizrach. Sadek Yikru Leragli. Yitin the fun of Goyim, he gave before him all these nations, and Malachim, Yarad, and he dominated over his kings. Yitin offer Charboy, that the sand became like a sword, and Kakash and straw, not of Kashta. That's how his arrow became. Nachem Ish Gamzu, just quickly the story. Nachem Ish Gamzu, have a rogil, he had a custom called to have a salkale, whatever happened to him, doesn't matter what. I'm a Gamzu Lateva. The Rebbe explains the difference between him and his student Rabbi Akiva. Akiva's main Rebbe was Nachem Ish Gamzu, and Nachem Ish Kol Masech Shemayim, Kol Dovid Achmon Tabavdin, whatever is good. And here he said more than that. Tabavdin means that one day you'll realize it's good. Here he says Gamzu Lateva, everything is good. One day, Boy Yisrael is doing the case. They want to send a gift to the case. Amr said, "But had the man, the Shad, who can we trust that we can send it with?" The Shad had Nachem Ish Gamzu. He's the best person. The Malum B'Nisimo. He's familiar with miracles. He came to this hotel. Bol and Mavis, you want to go to sleep? Amrulay said to him, what's this pekala you have there? Amalu, come Vilna, cargo the case. I'm bringing taxes to the king. Come Babalai, stood up at night. Sharinu Lisifte, they untied, they opened up the box. The shakul called out they removed everything that was in there. Umaluna Afara, they filled it up with sand. Kimota Lahosam, when he arrived at the king's palace, they opened it up and they found it was sand. Omar Achuzi, what are you poking fun? You're taunting me. They took him and got the executioner there to go ahead and kill him. Gamble Tevi said, this is also good. Also Leo. See, it's not fair. He had Elio on his side. The Idamele Kechadmenayu, and he appeared like one of the ministers there. And Amal, said, Dilma Hayaforim Afra Avramino. Maybe this is Avram Avinu's sand, the famous sand that turns into spears. The Havishadi Afra Havichabi, when you throw it in the air, it turns into spears. Or Gili straws, Havigidi, they turn into arrows. Boduk, they checked it out. But Ashkar, they found Hochi Abba. That's exactly what happened. Now, Hochi, exactly that. Havi Mechuzah, there was one country, the king could not conquer it. Shadu Mahu Afra Ale. He took from this sand, threw it at there, the Kavshu, and they conquered it. And meanwhile, Nachem Ish Gamzu had to wait around. I lose the big guns. They took Nachem Ish Gamzu, brought him in the house of the treasury. Amri said, "Shkol the Nichla, take whatever you want." He filled up his box, the hava, with gold. He had also when he came back to the same hotel. They said to him, "Hana the Yodi, my Amtizachim Whoa, these presents. What did you give to the king?" My the Shakli Mahach Amtizachim that I took here. I brought there. Shakli Inu, so they said, our sand must be special. So they filled up bags and bags of sand. Amtizachim brought to the king. Katlinu Lahan of the Yodi. They're all killed out for mocking the king. We'll continue.